Let's just start by saying hello, and I am doing this for the first time. This will be on the world's scariest places, haunted, creepy, and abandoned places all over the world. And I am reading to you from a publication by Centennial Media, Centennial Presents. I purchased this just basically for my own personal pleasure, but decided that it was worthy enough to share. So I am going to read you bits of this publication, which you could find in your local bookstore or grocer, any place that sells books. This is kind of like, a magazine. It's a soft cover. It's 97 pages, and each page has just a short story about each location, whether it's haunted, abandoned, and it has some pictures, a few pictures on each page of the location. So, in this day and age of our hectic lives, where you can't sit down and enjoy a book, you can at least sit down and enjoy one or two short stories. So I enjoy it for that reason. So without further ado, our first story is in Scotland, and it is at a castle called Edinburgh Castle, where ghosts roam. Shadowy figures, sudden drops in temperature, and the feeling of something tugging on your clothes are all experiences that happen every day in Edinburgh Castle. It probably seemed like a good idea at the time. A prisoner in the dank dungeons of Edinburgh Castle hatched an escape plan by burrowing into a pile of dung in a barrow. Once the dung was carried out of the castle and dumped, he figured he'd make a run for it. What he didn't realize was that the hilltop castle disposed of its manure by flinging it off of a cliff. Dung and prisoner both splattered on the rocks below. The hapless inmate apparently never got over his ignoble death. Visitors peering over the battlements swear somebody has tried to nudge them over the edge, somebody with a foul odor. It's one of many spectral encounters at this glorious Scottish stone fortress, with a history bathed in the blood from wars, executions, and torture. With structures dating back 9 centuries, the castle in Scotland's capital is a leading tourist destination in the UK, and one of the most haunted. Perched 430 feet above sea level and surrounded on 3 sides by unscalable cliffs, the castle has seen so much violence over the centuries that it takes the title as the most besieged place in Great Britain and one of the most attacked in the world. After centuries of bloodshed from warring royalty and political partisans, Edinburgh Castle has last came under attack during the Second Jacobite Rising of 1745, after which it was used primarily as a military prison, locking up inmates from the American Revolutionary War and later down German Luftwaffe pilots during the World War II, until becoming a historic site. The ghostly sightings go back centuries. One of the earliest was a headless drummer. He was a boy whose spirit was first spotted in 1650, pounding his drums shortly before an attack. From then on, the castle soldiers believed that the boy appeared as a warning of impending danger. Another musical boy ghost is that of a young bagpipe player who, hundreds of years ago, was sent through a tiny opening deep under the castle to explore a labyrinth of newly discovered tunnels. He was told to play his bagpipes so people could keep track of him. Suddenly the bagpipes went silent, and the boy was never seen again. Today, faint, mournful bagpipe music waves from the depths of the castle grounds. Then there's the tragic ghost of the beautiful Janet Douglas, Lady Glamis, who was imprisoned on trumped-up witchcraft and poisoning charges amid 16th century royal intrigue and infighting. She was burned at the stake while her 16-year-old son watched. Ever since, a spirit known as the Weeping Grey Lady drifts through the castle halls, accompanied by the sounds of hammers from the craftsmen who built her scaffold. As recently as 2003, construction workers restoring one of the buildings reported being harassed by the ghosts who had been prisoners during the Napoleonic Wars. They even took photos to prove it, pictures showing what looked like fuzzy blue balls floating overhead. The workers were so rattled by this that they refused to go into the building alone. Down the hill from the castle, in the old section of town, another community of ghosts roams underground at the real Mary King's Close. Narrow alleys buried beneath the city streets in the 1700s. These are the spirits of the denizens of the once filthy lanes who died in the plagues of the 17th century, returning as floating heads, a woman dressed in black, and a little girl who huddled with her doll so she wouldn't be lonely after her parents abandoned her during the plague. This next story takes place in England. It is about Lady Dorothy Walpole, otherwise known as the Brown Lady. She was the sister of the first Prime Minister of England. Raynham Hall. In the winter of 1835, Charles Dickens' friend, Captain Frederick Marryat, paid a visit to the English country house, Raynham Hall, with the expressed intention of disproving once and for all what he considered its ridiculous reputation for being haunted by a ghost known as the Brown Lady. Marryat had spent 2 nights at the Townsend family estate with a gun under his pillow just in case, and never got so much as a glimpse of the famed specter, said to be that of Lady Dorothy Walpole. Her angry husband locked her up in a room in the 1700s after he caught her cheating on him and didn't let her out until she died a lonely death from smallpox at the age of 40 in 1726. Then, on the 3rd night, Marryat saw a woman in a corridor drifting toward him, holding a lantern, and knew immediately from her 18th century brown brocade dress how wrong he'd been about the Brown Lady. As she grinned in a malicious and diabolical manner at him, Marryat's daughter later wrote, "He sprang into the corridor with a bound and discharged the revolver in her face. The figure instantly disappeared." Many others have reported gazing in terror at this tortured soul with a glowing face and dark holes for eyes. Several staff members resigned after another guest, Major Loftus, claimed to have seen the ghost several times over Christmas, 1849. A photographer for Country Life magazine who claims to have captured the brown lady's ghostly image on film in 1936. It's a black and white picture, a wispy white figure on the stairs. It became a global sensation, sparking debate about whether it was real or just a clever fake. Well, I hope you enjoyed these 2 short, spooky stories while listening to the rain. The reason why I did this is because I enjoy this sort of thing. There are a few channels on YouTube that I like to wind down with at nighttime, and I want to drift off to sleep. I'll lie there and listen to the short stories with the rain in the background, and they're usually spooky stories. That's what I like. So if you enjoy this sort of content, let me know by giving me a thumbs up. Leave me some comments down below to let me know if you would like me to continue to do these things. I'll still continue with my regular content, but this would just be something I would do on the side for fun. So just let me know, guys. And until next time, good night, sleep tight, don't let the ghosties bite.